This is Actually You Are a Real Runner with Jacqueline Riccio.
Hey, it's Jacqueline with systemsforselfcare.com, where I teach you to consistently take daily actions. You can feel happier, healthier, and more confident. As you know, Imperfect Eating Mastery gets started. It gets started on September 15th, but the last day, the very last day to register is September 8th. So that date, it's coming up very soon. Again, Imperfect Eating Mastery is for those of you who've been way on a diet, and you felt really, restrictive, and maybe actually you felt safe while on the diet, but you also knew like, this isn't going to be able to last. I'm not going to be able to do this forever. And what happens, you fall completely off the diet. You're way off the diet and you're eating everything in sight and feeling really unsafe with food. Maybe it's kind of fun for a little bit, like, oh, cool, I get to eat 12 donuts. And then you realize like, oh, eating 12 donuts actually doesn't feel good, right? And so what Imperfect Eating Mastery is going to do, it's going to help you find long-term balance with food. You're going to be able to show up, take action, consistently take daily action when it comes to meals, and also make sure that you're feeding yourself in other ways. We're going to talk about this in today's episode, but making sure that, the reasons that you might turn to food, you're trying to get relief for something. We're going to tackle those areas of life as well. So this is a health and life coaching program. This is not a diet. I'm not teaching you how to diet your way into being the tiniest human in the world. I'm going to help you find long-term balance with food. And yes, when you have long-term balance with food and when you know how to take care of yourself, weight comes off. It comes off as a byproduct of you taking care of yourself. So again, Imperfect Eating Mastery, this is for those of you who you don't want to be way on a diet and you don't want to be way off a diet. You just want to have balance with food. Again, the last day to get started with this, the last day to register is September 8th. So do not wait. Click the link in the show notes or go to systemsforselfcare.com to get started. Okay. So today's episode, it's going to be a vulnerable episode. I want to talk about binging. I have noticed maybe the last few days, there's been this urge to binge. And the urge, it sounds like, because I've spent a lot of time analyzing the thoughts in my head, it is a quick thought. It's like a quick voice, like go eat a bunch of food, go order a bunch of food, go to the grocery store and get a bunch of food, go into the cabinet and eat everything in sight, right? So it's a really quick voice that pops up. And I think that it's quick and it wants me to take action before if I stop and think about what it is that voice is saying, then I won't take action. Right. So it's like this really quick thing, go do this thing. And it's popped up a lot recently. And so I'm kind of like, what's going on here? Why is this popping up? Because here's the thing is that I am no longer a binge eater. I worked on that identity several years ago, and binge eating it's just not something that I do anymore. It's not something that I will allow myself to do. But when that voice pops up, when that urge does pop up, it just provides an opportunity for me to be like, what's going on here? Let's actually slow down. Let's not take action with, what that thought is. Let's actually kind of explore what's going on here. And I think that here's kind of like how the questioning in my head goes, like, oh, go eat a bunch of food. And it's like, wait, what is that going to do? Or what are you trying to get? What are you trying to help? And, what is eating a bunch of food provide you? What is it trying to provide you? I think it's trying to provide me some relief in life, stress relief. I think it's trying to provide me some excitement. It's trying to change my state, from feeling bored or feeling blah to ooh, this will be fun. I get to eat a bunch of brownies. Ooh, this will be fun. I get to eat a bunch of cookies or a bunch of pizza, right? So that voice is trying to provide me some relief. It's trying to change my emotional state. But I know from years of doing that eating a bunch of cookies, it's not actually all that fun. It's fun for 2 seconds and then it feels gross. It feels disgusting. So even last night it popped up and I was like, okay, cool. One, you're not going to go eat a bunch of food, but two, is there something else that you can do that does provide you some excitement? Is there something else that you can do that does provide relief from this boredom? Is there something else? Is there an opposite action, right? So instead of eating a bunch of food, could you go do something else? Could you go for a run? Could you go lift weights? Could you go make some food, but like actually take time and like make the food? Don't just like eat a bunch of food. And so that's kind of like what I did yesterday when that urge, when that voice popped up, go eat a bunch of food. I actually, I went into the kitchen and I made these like banana oatmeal cookies. They're really simple. It's like banana, oatmeal, a little butter, and then I had peanut butter protein powder and like a pinch of salt. We just got a new oven, which is great. So I was able to bake these cookies. We hadn't had an oven for a little bit. So it was nice and they came out really crispy and they were delicious. But like binge eating and eating 8 million cookies, that's just not something that I do anymore. But taking the time to make this food, to enjoy this food, to sit down with the cookies and eat them slowly and actually enjoy the crunchiness, that was something I did. I also worked on some other things. Like actually, there's some new books that I just got. So I was reading, working on some stuff in my business. But yeah, so like when I hear that voice, when I feel that urge, it's like, go do something else, because you know from past experience that it's not actually going to get you the relief that you're wanting. That you think that it's going to be a lot of fun and exciting, but it never really works out that way. So I guess I wanted to share that to just kind of like uncover, or like, yeah, like here's what goes on in my head and here's what I do differently than, 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, I would have eaten, yeah, fine. Just go eat everything. Go to the store and get, chocolate cake, cookies, pizza, whatever. But that's just not what I want for myself anymore. I guess I also wanted to share this too, to share like, these patterns, these thought loops, these habits, they might not be permanently go away, because it's something that my brain has done, something that I have done in the past. So it still exists in my head, but I don't have to follow through on those actions. I don't have to follow through on that urge. I can do something else that will actually provide me with the relief and will actually help me feel good. It's not self-destructive. It's not, something that sets me back, and makes me feel gross. Cause that's the thing, is like following through with that urge, following through with that quick thought, it's ultimately going to make me feel gross. It's not going to help me feel good. It's not going to provide the relief that I think it's going to provide. So I hope that's helpful. And I hope that gives you a little bit more insight into what we're doing in Imperfect Eating Mastery. The 5 P's is important. It's really, really important. There's a couple reasons why people binge. And one, it is you're not eating enough. You're not eating enough. And so when you get to the end of the night, you're feeling really stressed. You're feeling really emotional. And if you have not eaten enough, your body's like, let's go get a bunch of sugar, right? So that's one reason that people binge, is they are not eating enough like nutritionally dense meals. And so the solution to that is use the 5 P's to eat meals. Use the 5 P's in your breakfast. Use the 5 P's in your lunch. Make habits out of always having a 5 P salad. Make a habit of always having a green smoothie, or what else could you have? A protein bowl. You could have, eggs with some vegetables, or you could have Greek yogurt with some banana, whatever. Use the 5 P's at breakfast. Use the 5 P's at lunch. Use the 5 P's at dinner. Make sure that you're actually eating. Use the 5 P's for your snack. So that's the first reason people binge, is they're not eating enough throughout the day. They're starving themselves, whether intentionally or not. And then the other reason people binge is because they are seeking out emotional relief for something. And it might be that you've had a stressful day and eating sounds like fun, or maybe the day's been really fun and, you want to keep that excitement alive, and eating sounds like a really fun thing. But we binge because physically we're not eating enough food, or emotionally we're not getting something out of life, and we're using food to feel those fun emotions. Those, positive emotions, but ultimately it turns into like a self-destructive thing, and it doesn't last. And you feel guilt, you feel shame, you feel regret, you feel disappointment. Right. And so in Imperfect Eating Mastery, I want you to use the 5 Ps. That's how the course starts out, teaching you really simple habits when it comes to meals. So we get that baseline, those basic habits in place. You cannot work on the emotional part unless you have those basic physical needs met, right? And then we're going to address the other things that are happening in life. You have a stressful day, you turn to food. Okay, what else can you do? What other actions can you take? Is there an opposite action that you can take? What changes for you in life when you take that opposite action, right? So yesterday I could have gone and gotten, pizza, cookies, whatever, and I would have felt terrible. I did a different action and I get to wake up this morning. My stomach doesn't hurt. I don't feel gross. My heart it's not pounding like it's going to jump out of my chest, which is what used to happen, right? So what changes for me in life? I get to wake up feeling good in my body. I get to wake up feeling good in my head. I get to wake up knowing that I avoided a self-destructive pattern that I used to do in the past. And I get to wake up feeling proud of myself and good with myself, right? So again, in Perfect Eating Mastery, we're going to cover those basic habits when it comes to meeting your physical needs, but we're also going to talk about the emotional needs as well. And a lot of that is making sure that you are doing things that are fulfilling, making sure that you have hobbies, making sure that you know how to manage stress, you know how to relieve stress, making sure that those things are in place as well. So again, in Perfect Eating Mastery, it closes very soon, September 8th. That is the absolute last day to register for Imperfect Eating Mastery. Click the link in the show notes or go to systemsforselfcare.com. I will see you on Monday. Have an amazing weekend. Bye.